Institute. You know, there's a lot of just volatility, there's a lot of uncertainty, and the markets don't like that.
Exactly, and neither do CEOs of companies. They want stability. And they're not really worried about monetary policy, Brett. I don't think they're worried about another basis point on the interest rates. I think they are worried about this trade war. I think that's what CEOs, they don't know whether they can invest, they don't know whether they can hire. They want certainty. One day the president comes out and says we need to cut the payroll tax, we need to index capital gains. The next day he walks it back. That is the last thing that the markets want to hear. That's uncertainty to them, and I think it's hurting.
The president tweeted about the Fed. As usual, the Fed did nothing. It wasn't a Fed meeting today. It was a speech by the Federal Reserve Chair out in Jackson Hole. But it's incredible that they can speak without knowing or asking what I'm doing, which will be announced shortly. We have a very strong dollar, a very weak Fed. I will work brilliantly with both, and the U.S. will do great. My only question is, who is our bigger enemy, Jay Powell or Chairman Xi? Here is the president just a couple of weeks ago.
We've been losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. It has to stop, and they understand that. President Xi is a good man. He's a friend of mine. He understands it. And until such time as there is a deal, we will be taxing the hell out of China.
He's talked about it for a long time, but he's a good friend, or is he an enemy?
Well, I think you can justify calling the President of China an enemy, and we are in an economic competition with them, the two biggest economies. Hard for me to understand why you call the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who, by the way, you appointed to that job, as an enemy, and likening him to the President of China. And maybe I'm easily shocked. I did find that shocking today.
There are a lot of supporters, though, Matthew, who say, let's stick with it. Let's stick it to China because they've been sticking it to us. I mean, you hear that around the country. There's feeling like there's worry, but they also say, go get them.
That's right. And to date, the effects of the trade war are showing up more in the stock market than they have in, say, the employment figures, which I think is what are critical to President Trump's chances for re-election. But all of this is a reminder that the only closed economy, Brett, is the global economy. And so this trade war has affected the Chinese economy, which in turn has affected the German economy, which brings down Europe. And that is having blowback now in terms of our business people operating in this climate of uncertainty. They don't know actually where the supply chains will go, and they don't know where the tariff levels will remain.